Escaping material bonds, the path to becoming an immortal. Xuefeng. Eating, dressing, residing, commuting, and concerns about birth, aging, sickness, and death are all caused by material bonds. If a person is no longer bound by material concerns, and thereby free from the worries and fears associated with these aspects of life, then they are an immortal. Reflecting on our past and observing those around us, it becomes evident that most of a person's life is dedicated to material pursuits, essentially, matters of sustenance and survival. Our worries about what to eat and where to live, how to move around, and about life and death indicate that we are thoroughly bound by material needs. This bondage restricts our thoughts and consciousness, making us completely overlook the true purpose of coming to this world. The so-called bondage of material is not actually material binding our thoughts and actions, rather, it is our consciousness falling into a trap created by materiality. When we spend a lifetime chasing and accumulating material wealth, forgetting the sublimation of life, we are indeed bound by material. For instance, because we have physical bodies, we need to eat. However, eating is not the purpose of life. If we obsess over what to eat and spend our days laboring and scheming for food, then we are bound by food. Similarly, earning money is meant to secure better resources for survival, but if all we think about is how to make more money, then we are bound by money. In summary, whatever we revolve around, that is what binds us. To escape material bondage does not mean abandoning material needs such as food, housing, clothing, vehicles, medicine, tools, etc., nor does it mean relinquishing money. It means that our thoughts, intentions, words, and actions are no longer driven by the pursuit of more material and money but revolve around more permanent and eternal things. Above the material world, there is a spiritual world, above the spiritual world, there is a world of the soul, and above the world of the soul, there is a holographic world. A life bound by material lives in the material world, a life bound by spirit lives in the spiritual world, and a life bound by the soul lives in the soul world. Humans live in the material world, immortals live in the spiritual world, celestial immortals and Buddhas live in the soul world, and gods and the greatest creator live in the holographic world. To become an immortal, one must escape material bondage and enter the spiritual world. To live in the spiritual world, one must achieve having nothing, which means no longer striving for better material resources. In fact, there are many people living in the spiritual world today, such as true artists and scientists who live in their art and scientific explorations, not in the pursuit of money and material. Monks and nuns in monasteries, Buddhist monks and nuns in temples also live in the spiritual world. In this current time, Chanyuan celestials living in the second home mostly reside in the spiritual world. They too strive to create material wealth, but such creation is merely a natural behavior and adjustment to life, not aimed at acquiring material wealth. Living in the spiritual world does not mean completely forsaking the comforts that material brings. Living in a villa is more comfortable than in an attic, and driving a luxury car is more comfortable than driving a tractor. However, the major difference between those living in the spiritual world and those in the material world is that those in the material world become distressed and anxious if they live in a thatched cottage because societal values admire those in villas and despise those in cottages, making marriage and raising children difficult, thus leading to countless troubles and sorrows. Meanwhile, those in the spiritual world living in a thatched cottage do not suffer these anxieties. Let me give a real example. The Chanyuan Celestial in Canada had an income of only 100,000 Canadian dollars in 2023, which means 20,000 Canadian dollars per person per year, while the average annual income in Canada is over 43,000 Canadian dollars. This means that the income of Chanyuan Celestials is less than half the national average. Who lives more comfortably and satisfactorily, Canadians earning over $40,000 a year or Chanyuan Celestials earning $20,000? The answer is clear: people earning less than $2,000 a month, especially renters in cities like Vancouver where a one-bedroom apartment costs at least $1,600 per month, struggle to survive on a $2,000 monthly income. However, Chanyuan celestials with an income of only $1,660 per month not only survive but live very comfortably. This is the stark difference between those living in the material world and those in the spiritual world. Those living in the spiritual world actually enjoy material comforts more than those living in the material world, which is why the lifestyle and taste of immortals are higher than those of ordinary people. This is the principle of achieving personal fulfillment by being selfless and the reason behind becoming truly oneself by losing the ego. April 11, 2024. 4/4. ChatGPT can make mistakes. Consider checking important information.